If ever you received an email inviting you for a job you didn't apply for, would you open it? My name is Mikhail Will. On my 3rd year practicing architecture, I received an email asking if I was interested for a drafting service. It's an on-site 4-week job near the Pacific Islands. The email has a bulleted form of the demands and expectation as what usual headhunters provide, and a specific amount of $100,000 for the duration of the service, and an additional $25,000 for hazard pay. The payout for 4-week job is already sketchy, but an additional hazard pay? I did construction before, and at most we have healthcare benefits and insurance. So having this amount offered for one, on the low position of my industry, is definitely a bit questionable. As I scanned the email looking for any possible clue that it was a scam, I noticed something weird on one of the requirements. All drawings shall be done manually. All needed tools and materials shall be provided. You are not allowed to bring your own tools. Even students uses AutoCAD for the last 2 decades. Maybe that's why the offer is that high. We hardly have anyone practicing manual drafting anymore, and the mastery of using that technique is almost on their deathbed already. Regardless, I'm more interested in knowing what kind of project they are offering. They provided 3 links in the email connecting the 3 ongoing site. The first 2 links with a tagged status of safe was just pictures of the islands, probably an ocular inspection report about the project. The site had aerial pictures and satellite images showing the general shape of the island and its natural conditions. Other photos are images of geodetic engineers holding flags, which I'm assuming are markers, and photos of creeks, slopes, and other natural factors that would dictate the direction of a project. Considering they are only looking drafting service at my end, these kind of information are practically useless for me, but as an architect, I can't help but to be curious. When I opened the last project link with a tagged status of urgent, I was shown a detailed design analysis of a new island. Surprisingly enough, it has geothermal map of an island, temperature index map projections, tree tagging map, animal migration forecast, cadastral mapping, topographic map, and series of lot plans showing the protective site perimeter, which tells me that there are either still locals living on the islands or there are historical structures that the project needs to keep safe. By this time, my curiosity already got me hooked on the project. I don't even know what they are trying to build, but my heart is already excited to see what information I can learn if I join the team. It's pretty rare to see this much pre-engineering studies being allocated on a project, and the projects that I had encountered would usually just use an outdated studies and pay some engineer or architect to sign off the documents just to satisfy the permitting regulation. So I scrolled down the website, convinced that it was not a scam, looking for the application button. There was none. A bit annoyed, I went back to my email box to delete the invitation. Then I see a notification bubble under the name Anon. I don't remember adding that company on my contact list, and I honestly think it's rude for anyone who you are not affiliated with to just pop up a chat. But I guess it's only me. In his chat, he greeted me with a simple hello and proceeded to disclose guidelines to the project site. 1. Only bring your change of clothes for the next 4 weeks. 2. Do not bring any personal electronics, including your cell phone and laptop. 3. By 8 p.m. tonight, a service car will be provided to you. Please follow the guide. 4. Do not disclose these information to anyone. It's 7:30 p.m. now. Crazy enough, I took my duffel bag and shoved whatever clean clothes I have lying around. Put my essentials on a Ziploc, 1 pair of safety shoes and running shoes, which I tied up on the strap. Then I jumped inside the shower to freshen up. In my experience, this type of things aren't new. This usually happens with a close colleague handling an urgent project. Details will just follow during travel, except Anon isn't even a colleague. It's not even a previous client. I couldn't shake off the idea that this could be a hoax or a dumb TikTok trend, so I went back to my laptop so I can just ask for confirmation from Anon. It was gone. The chat from Anon is no longer on my log. Did I accidentally delete it? I scroll on my email logs. Nothing. Even the invitation email is nowhere to be found. I checked my search history, and even the 3 sites I visited aren't listed on my search logs. I felt dizzy. Did I just imagine things? No, the details are clearly on my head. The 3 islands, the photos, the engineering studies, and forecast. Those are not some memories I pulled out. It's 7:59. I found myself staring at my door. 8 p.m. 3 sharp knocks woke me up to reality. Did I order something? No, I don't remember ordering anything. Before I could walk to the door, I had a short glance on my window and saw a black vehicle, a 1956 Continental Mark II, and a man dressed in a formal charcoal suit and a black navy gloves. He was pointing on his wrist, signaling that we are about to be late. Then I remember the third guideline, 8 p.m., service car, follow the guide. So I grabbed my duffel bag, slipped on my formal leather shoes and run towards the fire exit. My unit was on the second floor, so I've been using the fire exit instead of the elevator along the floor lobby. Wait, didn't I just heard knocking? I was already on the street when it crossed my mind.
Good evening, Mr. Will.
Seeing the chauffeur closer, I could only guess that he is maybe on his mid-40s. He was standing dignified with his charcoal suit, a well-trimmed full beard, and domineering eyes that makes you feel like you're beneath him. I shake the thoughts on my head and greeted him back and asked if I'm meeting the chief designer tonight. He ignored my inquiry and proceeded on opening the passenger door, signaling me to get in.
We do not want to be late, Mr. Will.
It's been 25 minutes since I entered the car. The chauffeur was quiet. Aside from making short glances on his watch, his head is fixed to the road. It's not even 9 p.m. and the road seems too quiet. I lived here for the last 10 years and it is mostly quiet, but not this kind of silence. You'll often hear vehicles or alarms and sometimes passerby talking along the road. But tonight there's nothing, as if the road was cleaned out for us to use it exclusively. Then I felt the car stop. I looked at the car window and we are on the abandoned rail track. I know this place. One of my clients was trying to buy this land, but the owner wouldn't budge. It took 2 years for my client to give up, ranting that the owner of that place was dumb for not developing the site. The car door opened.
We need to go, Mr. Will.
He guided me inside the rail track. In the end of the track was a 10-foot fence. It was entirely made up of weathered corrugated steel panel, which looked like it hasn't been painted for years by the paint chipping and oxidation of the exposed steel. The yard was maintained properly. The grass looks healthy and freshly cut. However, I did not see any other plants or trees within the front yard, which is a bit of a downer because I do practice designing property with at least 30% green space for the benefit of it. They do have high-pressure misting pump installed throughout the perimeter, which is a big changer in lowering the temperature during summer. The inside looked like a cleaned-up version of a post-apocalyptic industrial warehouse. The whole facility was built in corrugated steel panels and wide flange. One of the covered structure houses what I could only assume as bonsai trees, not the type of bonsai trees you see on a pot. These look like imperial bonsai trees. I know oftentimes we see bonsai standing only a few inches, but imperial bonsai height are on the average of 6 feet. These are carefully crafted trees that probably 100 years old. I can't help but admire how beautiful those trees are, but the chauffeur kept giving me the look that we are going to be late. As we walked past a close factory, I also noticed that although this place looked like a barren wasteland, they did maintain a green zone around each factory. But what was strange was how it was oriented and laid out. Some of the green paths extends all the way inside of the covered facilities, and for the closed factories it seems like it's following some type of pattern continuously surrounding the factories.
Don't step on the grass, please.
I wasn't planning to. He clearly can sense I'm just a feet away from him following his footstep, but I guess he was just trying to be strict about some company rules, but I still find it a bit rude. I mean, I didn't actually apply for this job, they the one who asked me. He could at least lower his attitude a bit, right? While I try to shake off his rude behavior, I noticed some kind of white materials sprinkled on top of the grass. It was probably 1 inch wide, so I didn't notice it before, but now that I noticed it, the whole path of grass was covered by this white dust. It looked like a mixture of grinded shells and ashes, but seems as heavy as a sand. I can see the grass sways as the wind blows, but the dust isn't really flying off. Oddly, it simply rolls down to the soil. Curious, I reached out my arm to touch it.
No touching the grass, please.
You know the unpleasant feeling when someone kept nagging you? Yeah, that's what I was feeling that time. The nerves on my forehead feels like it would burst if I hear him speak again. I calmed myself and reminded that this is just a job with a big payout. I could see people a few feet from where we were. They're wearing charcoal coverall with a 3-line reflective tape wrapped around the right arm. They seemed to being instructed by another chauffeur. When he saw us, he pointed at his wrist, which I can only think that we are late. But my chauffeur just nodded and proceeded to walking on the same pace. As we get closer, I saw a Black Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey, a U.S. military transport chopper. I'm not sure what my face looked like that time, but I'm sure it's a reaction for a mixed feeling of being scared and curious at the same time. I already had a hunch that this is either a secret military project or a really wealthy man's strange hobby, but regardless, it's a job. Why would I say no to it, right? I opened the main cabin door and saw a total of 4 leather seats where the troop seat's supposed to be, 2 each on each side adjacent to the cabin window. There's a metal door separating the cockpit. On the top center of that door is a 1-by-1 glass window where I could see the 2 chauffeurs seating. Another metal door was installed on where the tail and loading ramp is located. The flooring was carpeted and its center was what looked like a simple emblem. It was three-line, which forms an open triangle, and in the center was an eye of a snake in fire. I took one of the seat, trying to be comfortable as I could. I never liked leather finishes on furniture. I love the smell and the texture, but seating on it feels so hot, as if my body temperature just bounced back to my skin. In front of me was a small retractable desk. On top of it was some type of parchment, a bottle of water, and a piece of onigiri. While the combination of the welcoming materials is a bit odd, what confused me more was the smell of it. All three items smelled like rose. There's a strong scent that just covers my whole lungs.
Fancy scent, isn't it?
I turn around to see who was talking. A long-haired woman wearing a charcoal long coat that covers her neck to her knee. She looked Japanese, but I'm not certain. She was coming out from the tail end of the chopper, holding her own bottle of water.
I apologize for the mediocre food. I promise to treat you a better breakfast once we get to the island.
I smiled back to her as a response. I'm honestly having difficulty talking to women. I'm already on my early 30, but that one thing I was not able to develop. I was thinking of asking her if she has any details to the project, or if I'm even hired for it.
There's no contract to be signed if that's what you wanted to ask. We considered that you already accepted this job when you entered the car earlier. The $100,000 was already deposited in your bank account. You can verify it once we land. The project briefing will be at 9 a.m. through video conference. You might want to get to sleep, and I really advise you to take at least a sip from that bottled water. These air transfer can get a bit of annoying.
I heard the engine running, and from the window, I can see the engineers signaling to the pilots to start taking off. I guess she was right. Although the interior was already buffed with soundproofing, I can still hear the engine and especially the rotation of the blades. I put on the ANR headphones connected on the sides of the chair and started eating the onigiri. I already decided to sleep, but not after I see the city light. It's not often that I get to do some private aerial traveling, so I better take my chance. The chopper started hovering a few meters from ground. It was a bit shaky at first, but it did stabilize after. We were probably on 1,000 feet when I started looking out the window. From this distance, I can see the cityscape where I had been for the last 10 years. It's not as impressive as New York or Tokyo, but more like a subtle landscape of hopeless desires. Or maybe it's just me and my romance to my field of work. I grabbed the bottle of water and took a bit of sip. The scent of rose still bugs me. Then again, I have to mind my manners. I look outside and see the old railroad facility. I can see some of the engineers are setting up some floodlights. There are some people coming in and out from the factories. Must be a 24/7 operation. It's dark, but despite the rugged appearance, it's not eerie to look. Perhaps the organized footprints of the factories and other structures gives off a well-maintained facility vibe. Like a 80-year-old Richard Gere carrying a faux hawk haircut, if you get what I mean. At that time, I already felt a bit tired. I did get too excited seeing a drafting job worth $100,000, and it's 9 p.m. My body clock is already telling me it's time to rest. I look back again to the window. Then I remember there wasn't any other people aside from us and the engineers on the helicopter pad. I did saw the bonsai trees, but there was not any people that time. Also, the rest of the factories are either closed or empty. They are a bit far away now, but I can at least see the reflective stickers on the engineers' arms, but the rest of the figures looked more like solid shadows. I might be overthinking it. I'm too tired, and my eyes was too heavy to be kept open. Yeah, maybe. I'm just overthinking it, right?